You want to paint your clothes? I'm gonna show you how. Painting your clothes is just great to customize your own ones or to make a very personalized gift. Supplies you're gonna need is first of all something to paint on. For example, a tote bag or t-shirt, pillowcases, jackets, pants, everything works. You just have to make sure that it is made from cotton, and depending on your fabric paint, usually you have to have at least 80% cotton. I'm gonna be painting a t-shirt. You're also going to need some baking paper because it has a non-sticky surface, some normal paper, a pencil, and of course some fabric paint. I'm gonna tell you more about the specifics of fabric paint later. First of all, you're gonna need a design, something you want to paint on your t-shirt. And this is what I'm gonna be painting because it's very cute and it's gonna be a gift for my brother, and he really likes to wear funny t-shirts. But I don't want to paint it this small, that's why I have to scale it up to make it easy to transfer to the t-shirt. If you're a pro at drawing, then just go ahead and draw your design directly on your t-shirt, but I just want to be safe. So I took some paper and figured out how big I want my design to be and scaled it up by 2. So all the measurements I take on my little sketch are going to be twice as big on my final piece. While drawing, make sure that you really define your lines, and I also recommend to redraw your lines with a dark black pen to make it easier to see the lines. I didn't have one on hand, so I pressed down with the pencil quite strong. I have my design done and I'm really liking it. I think those sheep are just looking so adorable. So now I can start working on the t-shirt. And first I have to figure out where the middle of the front piece is to position the design. Then I put the paper into the t-shirt and aligned the middle of the sheep with the pins in the middle and pinned the paper in place. The design was visible through the t-shirt, but not too great, so I had an idea. Usually when I trace something through paper, I tape it to a window to properly see it through, but I just imagined it a bit hard to tape the t-shirt to a window. So instead, I went outside, put the t-shirt onto a glass table, and the design was a lot easier to see. With a clear glass table and light shining from underneath, it would probably be even better to see. If your fabric is way too thick to see anything at all, you can also cut out your design and put it on top of your fabric and just trace around it. Now that I could see my design properly, I took a pencil and started drawing the design onto the t-shirt. To do this, you can also use any other type of fabric marker, but if you're using a pencil, it is easier to draw with a softer one because you don't have to press down as much to draw a line. I also noticed that when you stretch out your fabric a little bit with your fingers, the design underneath is easier to see. The design is drawn on, so the hardest part is done, and the sheep are just looking so cute. So it is finally time to start painting the t-shirt. First, put some paper or cardboard with a sheet of baking paper on top in between the front and back piece. This will prevent the paint from seeping through to the backside of the t-shirt, and the paint won't stick to the baking paper. Now I can start making the outline, and to do that I'm going to be using this fabric marker. You can buy these markers in different colors and thicknesses. I found mine in a local craft store in the textile paint section, and the bigger the craft store, the higher is the chance you're gonna find them, but I'm pretty sure you can also order them online. You can also use regular fabric paint and a paintbrush, but I prefer the marker because it makes it easier to draw pretty lines. While painting, I found it was easiest to hold the fabric in place with my left hand and make a line going away from my left hand. This way the fabric doesn't move around so much. Because I'm right-handed, I always started drawing on the top left corner of each sheep and worked my way towards the bottom right corner, because this way I don't accidentally put my hand into the paint and ruin the whole t-shirt. The outline is done and I'm pretty proud of how clean it looks, almost as if I printed it, but still with this paint look. So now I'm first gonna let it properly dry so I won't mess up my beautiful work, and then I can start painting the brown areas. Let's finally talk about the paint. So there are mainly 4 types of paint I know of you can use. The first one is paint for light colored fabric. That means that the paint goes into the fabric and basically dyes it. And this doesn't work on dark fabric because it's just too dark to see the dye in the fabric. The second paint is paint for dark colored fabric, like a dark blue denim. And this paint basically creates a layer on top of your fabric, and this way it stays visible. If you're working with this type of paint on dark fabric, I also recommend to first paint a thin layer of white because it makes the color pop a lot more. The third option is not to use paint but fabric dye, the one you would usually put into a bucket of water to fully dye a piece. You can use it kind of similar to watercolor and go over an area several times if you want that area to be darker. I have never tried this technique, I just saw someone else on YouTube do it, but I definitely want to try it because I think you can get some really amazing results with this technique. But you should keep in mind that this third option is a bit more experimental and probably better for more abstract designs. The last option is to use acrylic paint mixed with fabric medium. I have never used this technique before, but the theory is that the fabric medium makes sure that the paint will stay flexible so it won't crack when it's dry, and it also makes sure that you can wash it and it will stay on the fabric. Important is that you're using acrylic paint that is waterproof. Now that we have the paint figured out, I can finally take out my brown paint and finish painting those sheep. Again, I worked from top left to bottom right corner and always tried to work as precise as possible. I also tried to rub the paint into the fabric so it's properly connected and won't come off in the wash. While painting and drawing everything on the t-shirt, I was just so nervous all the time because there's no going back. If you accidentally get paint somewhere you don't want it, you can't remove it and have to figure out a way to somehow incorporate it into your design. Luckily, I didn't mess up big areas, but I definitely found myself a few times making lines bigger than they originally were to cover up some mistakes. The painting is done, but there's still one very important step left to do, which is to make sure that the painting will stay on the t-shirt when we wash it. To do that, first let your artwork dry for at least 24 hours. I know you probably can't wait to wear it, but it's just so important to ensure that the paint will stay on the t-shirt. And don't try to speed up the process with a hairdryer. When you're pressing, don't put the iron directly on your paint because it's gonna ruin your iron and the paint. So just take another piece of cotton and put it on top and press it from on top. Or you can also turn the shirt inside out and press it from the inside. Either way, definitely put something in between the layers to ensure that the paint won't get on the back side of your shirt. I just went section by section, one being as big as the area my iron could cover, and left it there for 5 minutes, always moving it around just a little bit and making sure everything still looked fine. It is finished and I really love how it looks. I think those sheep are just looking so cute and I want to keep it, but it's a gift from my brother. I hope you enjoyed watching and that you're now feeling confident enough to paint on your own clothes. Thank you so much for watching. I highly appreciate you being here, and if you like what I do, subscribe to my channel. And now, without further ado, let's have a look at the finished t-shirt. I hope you like watching my videos, and if you want to see me paint more, you can watch this one where I paint a pair of jeans, or if you want another awesome gift idea, you can watch this video where I show you how to make a beautiful tiered skirt.